So now let's create a node for our linked list. So in order to create a node, we must have a data structure that can hold the data of our linked list and a pointer that can point to the next node. In order to do that, we are going to use a self-referential structure. A self-referential structure is basically a structure that has one or more pointers which point to the same type of structure as their member. So in order to create a node, let's create a struct. Let's go ahead and use typedef so that we don't have to type struct every single time we use this data structure. Typedef is basically a tool that you can use to give a name to your user-defined data. And then you can use that data to define your structure variables. So here we are going to create typedef, and then we have to create a struct, and then we'll just call it node. Inside the structure, we are going to define the data members. The first thing that we want to define is our data. So we're gonna for this tutorial we are going to use integers. We're just going to call it data. For our pointer to the next node, we're just going to call that next. But here we still have to use the word struct, but we want a pointer. We're going to call it next or next link. Finally, outside the bracket, we're going to define our data type using typedef as node. And here, the reason why we had to use struct here is because this is compiled from top to bottom. Even though we use typedef here, we technically don't define it until we get to this part. And this line is before this. So in here, make sure you always include a struct. Otherwise, you'll have errors. Here, let me take this out and show you. So if I compile this, you notice how you get a red line? And it's saying unknown type name node, and that's because we haven't defined that. Oh, and let me change this to lowercase n. Let me run it again. See, undefined. So now if I put the struct on here and I compile it, this is the build and run button. We get the hello world, so it runs. And this is how you create a node using a self-referential structure. So for our next video, we are going to create our head node and start adding elements and data to our linked list.